Okay, so this next story is from r/comfort level pod.
Yeah.
And they're asking for general advice, and they said something is up with my mom's house. I'm worried about my dog.
Whoa.
My mom, 45 female, has lived in the same house since I was 15. I'm now 23. It was abandoned in rural Tennessee for 20 years before she purchased it. We did a lot of renovating. Along the way, she would often let my brothers and sisters' friends from work, all in their early to mid-20s, party, drink, and smoke in our backyard, as well as a place to crash in exchange for helping with the process. By the time we were all done, my older brother, at 20, decided he would move out, taking vast majority of the partying with him. Then shortly after, my sister fell pregnant, taking her out of the party life as well. Throughout that period of time, we made a lot of horrible friends and decisions that we look back on and cringe upon. A few years ago is when it happened for the first time. We woke up and the house was freezing. We had 3 dogs at the time, Harley, Tilly, and Callie. We would have assumed the door had blown open, but Harley was outside on Callie's run. Harley never leaves the yard, and so she's never been put on the run. I don't know what a run is.
I don't know either.
Is it like a stake in the ground and then it's like...
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. So a dog runner can either be in between like 2 trees, and then it's like they could just run from one side to the next. Okay. That looks like what it is.
Wait, what does that mean? What do you mean they can run? So
there's 2 trees. There's like a line in the middle. And then they're anchored onto that line, so they can go from the end to the next.
Okay.
So that's what a run is.
Cool.
We then went in search of the other 2 and found them in the woods on the back of our property, and they wouldn't walk back to the house. We had never seen them do this. They acted scared, like something bad happened to them that night. It had been a few years, and we had overall let it go, just assuming it must have been one of our old friends. That is until today. Me, my sister, and my mom all went to Walmart, then to eat, and then drove back home. Important to note that we live 30 minutes away from town. This took us about 3 hours. When we got back, our dogs were all in our backyard. The thing is, we left the 2 little dogs in my mom's room, door shut with the TV on. Our large dog was in the living room with all the doors shut, all locked. I looked for any way the dogs could have let themselves out and still cannot figure out how this is happening. Lately as well, our newest dog, Grizzly, has been having stress-induced seizures, so coming home to him in the backyard, not knowing what happened while I was gone, had my stress levels through the roof. We live on a rural but pretty rough area. We live between a national forest as well as some unsavory characters in the neighborhood, not to mention the abandoned cemetery in the woods 25 feet away. It really could be anyone or anything doing this. We're thinking of installing security cameras, but just haven't had the funds to do so yet. We're 3 women and 1 child living alone, so the entire thing has us in arms. Does anyone have any advice? Consider changing the locks on all the outside doors as well as cameras. It could be someone, a neighbor, old sketchy friend, acquired a key, and they're now letting themselves in. You said the house was empty for a long time and you've done renovations. Carefully check the house for ways people could get in. And, people were very nice, and they included a link to potentially some cameras that OP could get as well. Am I the asshole for telling my sister to accept her daughter is white? Both me, 33 female, and my sister, 27 female, are Caucasian Latinas. However, she's always been more tan than me, a fact she always has been proud of. For reference, my skin tone is closer to Aubrey Plaza's, while hers is closer to Gina Rodriguez's. When we were younger, we would constantly talk about how European I looked compared to her, how my hair looked more blonde than brown, which no one ever agreed with, and how certain colors I liked looked awful on me due to my skin tone. I almost never said anything because I was 6 years older and had better things to do. Also, while I did have many insecurities, I never doubted that I was beautiful. Fast forward to now, we both have kids. My husband is a little more tan than me, and both our children, 8 male and 3 female, have the same skin tone as their father. My sister's ex and baby daddy, however, was a very pale Swiss guy. My niece, 5 female, is a fair-skinned girl with dark brown hair, while my daughter is more tan and has dark brown hair. Everyone else agrees that both girls are beautiful, but their skin tones have always bugged my sister. She insists that both girls are equally tan, that her daughter's hair is light brown, and that my daughter spends too much time in the sun. Last weekend, we all had dinner at my father's place. My son brought his notebook and drew pictures of everyone at the table. He colored my daughter's skin a darker shade than my niece's, orange for my daughter and light pink for my niece. He also gave my niece yellow hair and colored my daughter's hair black. He lost his brown pencil. When he showed us the drawings, my sister frowned and she said he was exaggerating his cousin's features and that he could at least make her hair darker. When my niece said she loved the drawing, my sister told her it looked nothing like her and insisted my son was doing this on purpose.
Oh my God.
Before the kids could get upset, I pulled my sister aside and told her she was being ridiculous. We had a very small fight in the next room. Near its end, I said something along the lines of, listen to me. Your daughter is white. We're all white. You need to accept that and stop comparing the girl if you don't want niece's name to become insecure. We left shortly afterwards and none of the kids had brought anything up. My sister's pissed at me. She told both our divorced parents about our fight. Our father thinks I shouldn't have commented on my niece's appearance and wants me to apologize to my sister. Our mom thinks this is dumb. I agree, but says my sister is overreacting. Am I the asshole? Me, 35 male, and my girlfriend, Sarah, 35 female, have been together for 4 years. She has a son, Nathan, 9 male, with her ex, Mark, 36 male. Sarah has full custody of Nathan with her ex having scheduled visitations 1 weekend out of every month. Sarah and Nathan moved in with me a little over a year and a half ago, and in my perspective, it was a little rocky at first. I've always been pretty protective of my space, so making room for 2 other people was difficult for me. When Sarah moved in with me, we agreed that the visitations for Mark would be held in our apartment as long as I'm home. The main reason I wanted to do this is because I don't know Mark that well, and I didn't want him wandering around our apartment without me there. When we proposed this idea to Mark, he was fine with it. Now moving on to the real issue, 3 weeks ago, marked 4 months since Mark's last visit. So I asked Sarah when he was planning on coming to visit Nathan. My girlfriend replied by shrugging her shoulders and telling me that she'd ask. She never followed up with it. So a few days later, I asked when Mark's next visit was, and Sarah said that she'd tell me when she knew. Nathan was in the living room, but he apparently overheard us and shouted something along the lines of, "Dad was here last weekend, remember?" Sarah's face immediately dropped, and when I asked what Nathan meant, she wouldn't give me a direct answer. Eventually, she ended up telling me that for the past 2 visits, Mark has been coming to our apartment when I was working. When I accused her of going back on our agreement, she kept telling me this was her home too, and she could invite whomever she wanted. And that was fine because she was here and watching. I told her that was besides the point, and she violated my trust. It blew up with a huge argument, which ended in me telling her to get out of my apartment. She packed up and left with Nathan. Last I heard, she was staying with her parents. I've gotten several messages from both Sarah and her parents calling me an asshole for kicking Sarah and Nathan out of their home for something so small. She's even been blaming me on Instagram and Facebook about how horrible I am to do this to her. It got me thinking I might be the asshole, but I'm not entirely sure. And then there's an extra one. I can see why it's important, but the court order was instructed because of Mark having a criminal record. I'm not sure what it is for Sarah, as he's never directly told me, and I didn't want to push her to tell me. I, 25 female, told my husband, 26 male, to f*** his mom, and now we're getting a divorce.
Wait, can I read that?
Yeah.
Say it again.
She told him to f*** his mom, and now they're getting a divorce.
To do it to his own mom?
Yeah.
And then they're going to...
And so he's like, no.
That seems pretty cut and dry.
So, this is a case of incest.
Because listen to this first paragraph, and listen to this first, it's the 4th word. You're going to like this, okay? We live in Utah.
You know I love Utah.
Those are the first 4 words?
Next 5 words, but his parents are Catholic. Religion! We're
but
bringing
not
religion
Mormons,
into this.
So I want it to be Mormons.
About 3 months ago, he brought up his kids, even though we both got married knowing we don't want kids. My husband and I moved in together when we got married early last year and have been together since high school. When we first moved into our apartment, after we graduated, things were great. We split the chores evenly. Although he fed and walked our dogs more than I did, around September, he started sleeping in the guest bedroom. I'm a night shift nurse, so it isn't totally out of character because he works as a trainer at the gym and has regular hours. But he stopped sleeping in our bed, even on our off days. He's gotten more religious. I found a Bible in our kitchen with notes in his handwriting. He stopped doing his part around the apartment. Before he would walk the dogs and feed them on the days that I work. Now I come home and more often than not, they're in their kennels and I have to walk them after being on my feet all day. When I wake up, their bowls are still empty, and our one dog is so old he can't hold his bladder for that long, so he pees in the kitchen. The sweet boy knows it's easier for me to clean up the tile. Husband gets up early, so I don't know why this is happening. He has a long lunch break where he normally comes home to take care of them. This is especially hurtful because I make sure to do everything when I'm off and he works. Dishes from whatever he was making at that night are consistently in the sink or on the counter. And although he doesn't sleep in our room anymore, he leaves his dirty laundry lying around. When I confronted him, he did apologize, but he said that he was under a lot of stress at work and he felt like he needed more support here at home than what I was giving him. I was trying not to devalue his feelings or anything, but he works at a gym. I work in the ICU. One of my favorite patients died last week and he never knew how much I cried that day. My work makes him uncomfortable, so I don't talk about it around him. I didn't say any of this. Instead, I asked him how I could support him more in our home, and he stated, and I quote, "I need us to start falling into our God-assigned roles." I can't say I remember much else of what he said. Essentially, it was some things about him being a leader and me being a follower, and that I should do the majority of chores. He felt like he wasn't as happy as his parents were in marriage, and this took me by surprise. Too angry to say anything else, I said, if you want to live with someone who will cook and clean for you while you do nothing, go f*** your mom. I don't know why I said it. I think I was extra frustrated because the dog pissed on the floor again. But now I'm at work, crying on my break, looking up the cheapest couples therapist. I know he's in the wrong, but was that going too far? Is couples therapy going to be enough? Someone help me know what to do and where this is from. And then there's a couple updates. So we spoke when I got off. I showed him the post, specifically the comments about cheating and cults and mental health, and he admitted that he had been seeing one of his coworkers.
Oh my, every time.
I wish it ends here. He broke down and cried. He confessed he's been sleeping with her and they're trying for a baby. Oh. I didn't mention this in my last post that he changed his mind a while ago about having kids. Well, I still don't want any. He said that I wasn't allowing him to follow God's plan, so I forced him to seek help from Hagar.
Hagar?
In the Bible, didn't what's his face married what's her face, and she couldn't have any babies. I think Sarah, it was Hannah.
Sarah, was it?
Was it Hannah? Sarah,
and Hagar was the other woman.
Was the other woman that they brought into the bed because Sarah wanted a baby, and then Sarah got upset. Yeah. So he's saying, I had to find me a Hagar.
That's crazy. You cannot use that.
Uh-oh. Oh, no. He's coming back.
He preaching over here.
Yeah, he is preaching.
That's not his Bible, okay?
So this is some Bible reference that went over my head, but I Googled it and I'm sick. I don't even know who this man is anymore. Not wanting kids.
Sorry. Keep on.
Not wanting kids, as it's been a big source of friction in the past 3 months or so, but there has never been any signs that this would get out of pocket. We went into this marriage against kids. I know we're young, but that will never change for me. I guess I should have seen the writing on the wall. I'll spare you guys our fight. My best friend helped me pack my essentials. She's been stalking this Hagar's Instagram, saving me from coming up with a nickname. Apparently, she's a big traditionalist Bible thumper in the LDS church. Not so traditionalist.
Mormons, we're back, baby!
Not so traditionalist to keep her hands off a married man, but that's besides the point. Her only goal is to find a husband and be a stay-at-home mom. More power to her. Someone's got to do it. She can have him. They can pump out 6 kids with his minimum wage. I think this is my sign to start travel nursing. I'm spending a good chunk of change breaking our lease, getting the fuck away from him, and finding a lawyer. Me and my dogs will be better off at my mom's house for now. If he wants them, he'll come take them over my dead body. I'm going to sleep, though. I haven't slept in 24 hours.